The other one is that these players are getting injured. The bodies of the young players coming to the league are looking more and more like late 30 and 40-year-old bodies because of the wear and tear that they have. At the age they enter, whether it's 18, 19, or 20 years old, they should be able to be prepared to play long seasons, but they're not. And I think that...
Welcome to the ChadBurn Show, brought to you by M. Chad Baldwin.
Welcome, everybody, to the ChadBurn Show. I am your host, M. ChadBurn, and as always, running behind the scenes, and right now, literally behind the scenes, is Julien Renvoise. Hello, Julien. So everyone, I'm excited to get to this show today because there's been a hot topic phrase, something that is... being used a lot, being discussed, really is a topic for all players, fans, and the media. And that, my friends, is load management. That's right, load management, the fancy term for rest. Giving your player rest so that they can continue to perform throughout the season. The term load management, I believe, which is pretty interesting as we're now using it almost regularly, is definitely a term that I feel the Sixers made famous when they had Embiid, and Toronto Raptors definitely made famous last season with Kawhi Leonard. And of course, it ended up with them winning an NBA title. However, we now have what we believe is a healthy Kawhi Leonard on the Clippers. And it's still occurring that on back-to-back games, he is sitting. So we have several perspectives to take into consideration here. We have the perspective of the fans, the players, and the league. Now, I feel fans in the league are very much aligned in this. They find that the whole load management is a bunch of bullcrap. Because to them, there is a reason that they're out there playing this game. They need to be on nationally televised games so that people can see them bring in money for the league, bring in money for all the sponsors and the ads and the people that paid hundreds of millions of dollars to have the rights to air those games, and the fan who is paying his hard-earned cash to go to those games to see certain superstars. So obviously the people are frustrated. Obviously the fans of LA, the LA Clippers, are frustrated. They're paying money to go see a guy that they believe is going to bring them possibly the greatest chance they've ever had at an NBA title. And instead of getting whenever there's a back-to-back game and all of a sudden they're there playing a top opponent like the Milwaukee Bucks this week, Kawhi's not there. He's not on the court. The person they went to see, the person they brought their kids to go see. A player that is really redefined the game is so the way he shows no emotion, his perfect consistency with the jump shot, the way he can get to any part of the court and somehow make it look effortlessly. I mean, this is someone that is up there in potential to surpass LeBron and KD as the best in the league. In many people's opinion, he is the best in the league right now because of his complete game, the defense and the offense. However, while the fans can get riled up and are angry about this, I do understand the perspective of the player. This is an 82-game season. It's a long season. And if you make the playoffs, it becomes even longer. You're looking at an additional 21 games at least. 21 games if you make it to the finals, and all games go to 7 games. So you have an additional double-digit add-on to the 82, making it close to, if you go far, 100 games. So for these superstar athletes, they do want to stay healthy. They want to be able to make it to the end because there is the expectation that they are going to get to the finals. You have your LeBron James, you have now Kawhi Leonard, you have your KDs that know that they're going to potentially be playing later in the season. So I can understand from their perspective why they're going out of their way to make sure that they're healthy for that time, that they can carry their team and do what they are brought in to do, why they're paid the big bucks, which is to win championships. So it's really this balancing act, and I think it's hard for these players. They want to give their fans a great show every night, but at the same time, they need to do what's right for them. And this is going on also a lot of sports science. I am seeing why the coaches want to go load management. Pop made this famous. Greg Popovich, the coach of the Spurs, did make this famous early on when he would have players do not play, that they're resting towards the end of the season to get ready for the playoffs. Because he also understood that it's a grueling long season and he needs them at the top of their game for the right time. Right now, the NBA is suffering on two big epidemics. One brought up, I believe, in the offseason by the Sixers player Tobias Harris. He's saying that one of the larger problems that we're going to face in the NBA is sleep deprivation. Because these players are constantly traveling, they're constantly going to play late games, and they're going to have to go practice the next day. They're not getting the necessary sleep they need throughout the season. Granted, it's not the whole year, so it's almost the idea is we tell them just suck it up for this time. But sleep deprivation is a big problem. And if they're not able to get the right sleep, they're not going to be able to perform. So that's one aspect of it. The other one is that these players are getting injured. The bodies of the young players coming to the league are looking more and more like late 30 and 40-year-old bodies because of the wear and tear that they have. At the age they enter, whether it's 18, 19, or 20 years old, they should be able to be prepared to play long seasons. But they're not. And I think that ESPN did a great job of discovering this, where they talked to doctors who saw, for example, I think it was Randolph when he was over on the Lakers. He comes in the league and he's suffering a stress reaction early on in his career. And this is just not something you commonly saw in the old days of the basketball in the 90s and the 80s. And a lot of it has to do with how much these kids are being pushed as they get to the league. There is expectations that they're going to play in AAU league. They're going to play all year, that they're going to continuously train to get to the next level. And it's becoming more competitive every year. So kids have to put so much more time and stress and wear and tear on their bodies. In 2017 and 2018, there were over 5,000 games where players were lost to injury. That means that there was so calculating there, obviously, that means that there's players that missed a game due to injury. And last year there were 5,000 of those games where there was an injured player missing that game. It was the first time when they had eclipsed 5,000 in decades. And it happened again in 2018, 2019. So there is an injury epidemic. The bodies of these players are just not prepared to be able to go through the whole season. And even more shocking, and this is what is important to the league to understand, is that in 2017-2018 season, of all those people that were All-Stars selected the All-Star game, 14.63, the average were missed games by those players. Of the All-Star players that went, I want to get the stat right, 14.63 games were missed, kind of adding all up of all the players and the time they missed throughout the games. And that's a lot out of an 82 game season. So I think that we need to, as fans, take a step back and try and realize that if we want our team to succeed and go far, and we've invested this money in these superstar players, we have to be prepared for them to take these rest days, for back-to-back games to not have them in both of them. And Kawhi Leonard, necessarily, who is at the center focus of all of this, he really isn't healthy at all. I mean, they say he's healthy, but he still is dealing with pain in his knee. And if you're a Clippers fan, you do not want him going down. He is going to be the future for your team, the future for the Clippers organization. If you hope to get anywhere close to even sniff the finals, you need to have Kawhi on the floor. That team is not going to do it with just Paul George, Beverly, and some of the other role players they have. So I find it fascinating, and there has been people on both sides. The media and the league are definitely trying to get players to play because there's a money aspect. But again, if you want to bring money in on these games and on these nationally televised games, you need to have the star players in them, and the only way you're going to have them for at least the majority of these games is if they're resting. Because if they miss and are no longer healthy, that's even a worse situation for your viewership, to bring fans into the game. And as we always know, it's always going to be the bottom line. Like the money is the most important thing to the league. So I think they're going to, as this kind of practice continues, I think that the NBA is going to suck it up and just accept the fact that they're not going to necessarily have their superstars all year, but are willing to take that so that they still play in the majority of these big games. And I mean, LeBron James decided to stir the pot even more. I believe, looking up his quote, he recently was going on about how he was, paid to play in this game. I want to get it right. He wrote, "If I'm hurt, I don't play. If not, I'm playing. I probably got a good 45 years to not play basketball. So again, that's another superstar in the league who's willing to play the games no matter what. But LeBron has been known to take a game off here and there. But we'll see. If the Clippers do make it to the finals and they use this load management scheme, and Kawhi again is integral to them going far, and they're able to, if he wins the MVP for the finals and they're able to bring a championship back to the Clippers, the fans will be on board with this. However, that means this load management system will continue and is going to be more widespread throughout the league. Right now, there's only one team that's ever proven that it works, and that's the Raptors. The Sixers have done it with Embiid and Ben Simmons are trying to keep people healthy and take time off and build and trust in the process. But again, we've never gone out of the second round. So I think while we have the one positive, we have a lot of examples where it hasn't worked, where players need to continue to be at top of their game, need to be getting the volume and getting the reps. But time will tell. I think if we continue on this trend of having 5,000 games lost to injury, and that goes into the next season, I mean, there's just no way that they're going to stomach and allow this to happen. So they're going to even maybe start implementing forced rest time for these players. But it is an evolving league. It's different times. This is not our old time. This is not the 80s. It's not the 90s. There is a new wear and tear, a new epidemic of injuries to these young players. Let's focus on preserving them. I think we as fans need to take a step back, deep breath, and understand, when we buy that ticket to a game, there's a risk someone might not be in it. And that risk has always been injury, and in this case, it's going to be rest. I always think it's funny. I feel we need to stop calling it load management because it's just rest. We don't need a fancy term for it, okay? The players are sitting. They're not getting in the game. Let's relax, okay? It's just called rest. They're taking a night off. So with that said, I think we can move on, but it's really been big in the league right now. I think it's funny to hear people as respect as Doris Burke saying it's ridiculous. Again, they're motivated because they need these players in the nationally televised games to make money. But as we continue to see, we need to treat these players more of a humanitarian aspect. We can't be just treating them as just a product. We can't just treat them as something we can leech money off of. So hopefully, as we go on, we understand that these, the players are taking more beatings and their bodies need this rest. Now that we've had time to talk about the NBA and kind of the hot topic of this week, I would be upset if I didn't get a chance to talk about my Eagles. So right now, they're standing at 5-4. They're back above 500. 2 big games. They beat the Bills. That was very exciting. And then obviously the Bears. And now they go into their bye week. They have time to rest up. So in order to try and solidify this team as we go forward and hopefully beat the Patriots and beat the Seahawks and be able to have a team that's at that caliber, we figured we need to add some more to our wide receiver depth. We need to get some more help on there. The defense is luckily getting healthy. They're showing that they can at least hold it together. So let's try and fix the problem with the wide receivers. Give Carson Wentz weapons. Because right now, our 2 top wide receivers, Jeffrey is only at 353 yards for the season. So at this rate, he's only going to get near 700. He's not going to break 1,000. And Aguilar's at 282. Both of them only have 3 touchdowns. At this rate, we're not going to have a 1,000-yard receiver on this team. And Alshon Jeffrey is supposed to be that player. He is supposed to be annually able to get over 1,000 and provide us with a wide receiver 1 position. But we don't have a wide receiver 1. Right now, we have 2 wide receiver 2s, and we have a bunch of other scrubs on the bench. Matt Collins has 125 yards on 10 receptions, 0 TDs. And don't get me started on Ortega-Whiteside. He's been absolutely useless. And it's proving that we should have gone with a player like DK Metcalf, who was blowing it up on the Seattle Seahawks. We need players like that with big bodies that are able to big wingspan, who can bring in the ball, are able to hold on to and fight through and get yards after the catch. We don't have that. And Deshaun Jackson, who has the other 2 TDs on the wide receiver squad, he was our deep threat. And now you have Carson Wentz, who spent all summer with his timing with Deshaun Jackson to make sure that they had that deep threat down, that he knew where he'd be when he puts the ball in the right spot and D-Jax could catch it and go for the touchdown. But he's not on the team anymore. He's injured, and he's not coming back, okay, folks? I know we all want him to be back. The best chance we have, he'll be there for the divisional round if we make the playoffs. And this was my biggest concern when we brought on Deshaun Jackson. He hasn't been healthy in years. Every year he suffers an injury because the way he plays, the speed, the older he gets, his muscles are going to snap more easily. He is going to get tears. He is going to get injured throughout every season, whether it's his abdomen, whether it's his legs, whether it's his arms, whatever it may be, he will get hurt. And we took that risk and we gave him the money, and we're going to be stuck on the money again for next season. And when he's out there, he absolutely is a threat. He is an incredible player. But we need him on the field. And he hasn't proven at this age to be able to stay on the field for more than a couple games this season. And now we have no one as a deep threat. And you can see when Carson Wentz is going deep that his timing is off because he's overthrowing these players, because he expects a D-Jax to be down there. And he has to relearn all that timing throughout the season now with new wide receivers who are going to take over that deep threat. And on top of that, none of them are as fast as Deshaun, and none of them are getting the separation they need. They are being covered and blanketed constantly because these wide receivers either aren't getting open on the routes that they're supposed to run, or the scheming by Doug Pearson is not meant for these players put in these roles to be able to get open. So you see when Carson has the ball coming in, and I believe his timing is getting better. I will hear you. Against the Bears, Carson Wentz was throwing a bit behind and overthrowing several players, and that's on him. But we also had Jeffries drop 3 balls right to the chest. He caught them both, hit him right in the hands, and he dropped it. So we have both the drops. We have wide receivers who aren't getting open, who can't get away from cornerbacks and create separation. And Ertz, who is our kind of bright spot, is at 527 yards so far with 2 TDs, so he's on pace to possibly go over 1,000 yards. He is getting double teamed every game because there is no threat from Jeffrey or Aguilar. Why would you bother with those two when all you need to focus on is Ertz? He's the only one that knows how to get separation and get the right place on the field. So if you just focus on Ertz and you have no wide receivers out there, we obviously need help. So what did the Eagles do? They need a wide receiver. They need to find someone to help. There has to be someone they can sign and pick up. Well, we'll look no further. Jordan Matthews. This has to be one of the most ridiculous things I've seen. Jordan Matthews is starting his 3rd stint with the Eagles. That's 3 times. I guess third time is a charm. He is not an elite wide receiver. He's a good wide receiver. And he's had many good plays here in an Eagles uniform. But that does not mean that he's going to be able to separate himself in the way that we need him to play. Jordan Matthews will be able to run the routes well. I think he's a good route runner, but he doesn't have top speed. So I don't really know what the addition is there. I mean, obviously he has some connection with Carson Wentz and they've built some chemistry over the years. But how is he going to be the solution to this ailing team? I think what we're going to see going forward, and I'm okay with this, is that the Eagles are going to become a run-heavy team. And it's going to be that you need to stop the run game in order to stop the Eagles. And the only problem is that when we go up against a defense like the Patriots, that's going to happen. They probably will be able to scheme their way to stop us. Now, granted, they lost against the Ravens because the Ravens were able to pound the ball. And they were able to use Ingram and Jackson with his feet to get outside and get away from those faster edge rushers and to really take advantage of, they have good cornerbacks, but to take advantage of the linebackers. So if the Eagles can use the same formula and work way around on their feet, that might allow them to beat teams like the Patriots. But for every other team, if they're able to stop the run and have a good rush defense, we're not going far. Imagine if the Eagles somehow had a turnaround season, right? Most likely who they'll face in the NFC Championship game would be the 49ers. The 49ers have a stout both pass and rush defense. So what are you going to do? If they stop and eliminate and stifle the run, well, we have no threat when it comes to wide receivers. And hopefully that can change and maybe the chemistry will get there and Carson can somehow will these wide receivers to be successful. But all I know going forward is Jeffrey is not a number 1 wide receiver. He has a long way to go to get back to that position. We didn't add anyone of significant value, and now we have to focus entirely on our running game. I hope the Eagles have a chance here. I really do. I think that they've done what they can with the resources they have. And maybe we just have to accept it and look forward to the next season. But hopefully, if the Eagles can buckle down and create a scheme and use these wide receivers to their abilities, not the abilities of players lost to injury, but to their individual abilities, try and get some 50-50 balls to Jeffrey. He's going to catch it. He will get over these yips and start catching. Try and use Aguilar down the field, but use simple routes. Don't rely on him to use the route tree. He's not going to be able to use these slants and break away fast. We need him just to go and burn. and try and build that timing and chemistry with Wentz. Use Matthews out of the slot to go across. We need him just to try and use simple routes, use his route running ability to take on the third. He's going to get probably the third string cornerback. He's going to get the weaker cornerback, try and get some mismatches, and hope we can excel there. And finally, if we can use some schemes to get Ertz out of these double coverages and use him as the weapon he is, that will be our hope to get this passing offense out there. And I think Wentz has the ability to mend this and get forward, but time will tell. And I do believe that this is a good team. I don't think they're a great team, but I think that they can at least excel and get to the next spot. So that's my hope for the Eagles and really what I've seen, what they've done so far. And finally on our show today, I think that it's the perfect time. We've talked about mental health before, and it's a big part of my life. I think it's a big part of the sports and trying to make sure you have the right balance between not pushing yourself too hard to have a breakdown. We've talked about how professional athletes face anxiety. Brandon Brooks with Spotlight recently has been a great example of that in the NFL. He's the offensive lineman for the Eagles and has suffered anxiety and crippling anxiety where he couldn't play games. So I think it's fun that we start not fun, but it's really important that we talk about Movember. Mustache in November, Mo for your bro. Really, this is an awesome organization. I've helped out in trying to raise funds for it before. I have a lot of friends doing it. If you're watching on YouTube and you're watching this video, you can see I have a sad excuse of a mustache coming in right now. I will be giving updates, obviously, with our videos on where it's at. And hopefully it'll be luscious and full and really just full Tom Selleck by the end. But we don't know. Let's hope. But this is an organization that's really focusing on men's health. It started out with prostate and testicular cancer and raising money to help there. And as they've gone larger and able to spread their message, they've really focused on the whole aspect of men's health. From the rare and not so rare diseases that have a high mortality rate, to then the more recent thing that's taking men's lives so early is suicide and the mental health and trying to prevent this at an early stage. Right now, and as they show, and if you go to their site, you'll see these stats and they're shocking, is that around the world, men die on average 6 years younger than women. And a lot of it, where it seems to be, is that a lot of them are men, one, not looking out for themselves and their health, whether it be, self-checking for testicular problems, for going to get exams, or on the mental health side, seeking help and talking to people. 70% of men say that they can rely on someone to talk, that their friends can rely on them. That they say, if my friend ever need anything, they can come to me and talk to me. However, 48% of those people don't feel that there's someone they could rely on. So we have this issue that the men need to talk. We need to be able to talk with friends and be able to show and release our stresses and be able to talk about what's ailing us. Because in this society, we still face this, even as we are redefining what it means to be a man, and in a positive way, there is still an aspect that we should not be sharing our feelings, that we should not be letting out everything that it bothers us, because we need to be tough and we need to man up. But I think as we go along and the definitions of manly is changing to showing that we can show compassion, that we can have emotions, that we need to be able to get out there and speak our truths and be able to speak how we're feeling. And I think as men, if we can go out there and tell our friends that they have an ear to listen to, and that if you ever face anything, you would talk to them. I think this is important, and we need to create this dialogue and continue to grow and improve that. So all those stats I gave you, it's on the Movember site, and this is Movember.ca. That's for in Canada, but Movember is the organization, Movember. I think, for everyone, if you're listening, it's a great organization to go out and support. I urge you to try and, donate to them and continue to create awareness for men's health, creating to change the dialogue on what it means to be the man and what it means to overcome our mental health issues. I think we need to allow ourselves to talk about it. And I urge you to go out there and, tell your friends, for the guys listening, to go out there and tell your friends you have someone that they can rely on. And that's always going to be the biggest thing in helping them get past that. We can't keep losing men to suicide. We need to be able to identify these early signs of mental health issues and get them the help they need. I think this is the most important thing we can do for them. So if you can, please go and donate. You can also set up your own fund. It's really easy. I had the app last year. I think it's a great app to use to raise money. I will be donating with friends and just creating awareness. Last year, I felt I was able to get a few donations, but in reality, I was taking away from the goals of other people. And I just want those that have been really deeply impacted by this, whether it's in their family or people close to them, to be able to raise as much money as they can for this. Donate to as many people as you can. Really get out there. Let's raise the word and let's make this an important month for November. Grow your mustache if you can. Guys and ladies, if you want to do it for a month and grow a mustache, you know what? That is up to you, and go for it. So really it's for everyone. Let's, tell everyone, let's tell our men that we're listening and that we believe in them. So really that's my message for this. I think mental health is a huge issue in sports. I think it's something we need to continue to talk about. Let's keep that in the forefront of the dialogue for as we continue to grow as people and grow as the leagues and grow as men. And really just try and save everyone as we can, right? Let's be there for people. So that's my show, folks. We talked about the big hot topic buttons of the week with load management. I was able to give you my Eagles update and show you kind of where I'm feeling with the team. I believe we can go on and hopefully win the next few games and stun, hopefully at least Patriots or the Seahawks. Otherwise, we have an easy schedule. And finally, continue to worry about, continue to look out for those next to you. Look out for your friends. Let them know that you're listening, and let's continue to reach out and give a helping hand to everyone. Support Movember, and let's see those Mo's come in, guys. All right. So as always, thank you for listening to the show. Love coming on here and be able to speak my truth to you all. I am enjoying doing this sports show, so really it's fun. We are now episode 11. We got past episode 10. We're going to continue to do it. Thank you all for your support, and I hope we continue to get more listeners. As always, if you want to send in questions or contact me, you can email me at chadburn.show@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to DM me or reach out and check out our content on the Instagram page where we create updates for our show, you can reach me at @ChadBurnShow. Again, it's at the ChadBurn Show. As always, I'm active on there, so please feel free to reach out. We also have the Facebook group. We'll continue to post content there on the ChadBurn Show. So as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this, and we'll catch you next time, guys. Have a good evening.